So winter is a time for me to ensure that everything is working. You can see we've been working on the track here. We do have race days coming up, but one of the things I'm going to do today, because it is minus 30 degrees Celsius outside, is have a look at one of my excavators. I want to make sure that when the springtime hits, or when everything gets all melted and we get a chance to go outside and start building some roads, or even some RC gardening is what we're thinking this year to help us plant some of the things that'll be fun. I want to get this up on the bench and make sure that my main excavator is actually ready and up for the job. This thing is truly a monster. It comes weighing in at about 20 pounds, give or take. A lot of folks actually ask me if this big machine can dig right into hard soil, and the answer is, because it is very heavy, a lot of people think it would sink in very easy, but still the density of the earth still needs quite a bit more hydraulic power and weight. Now, if you have a good tilled area, this machine is awesome. If you're in the mud and you want to dig with the arm and the hydraulics, you can certainly do that. In fact, all of this is hydraulic driven. You guys may not have seen this before. And before I go into too much detail, this is actually an older model from a store called RC4WD. And it's an online store where you can get lots of scale stuff. It's not a sponsored video, of course, but just to give you guys information in case you're wondering. This machine is quite expensive. Being all hydraulic driven with hydraulic fluid in the back and a whole control system, and with the rams, and being an all steel machine, you can expect to pay, when it first came out, it was around $3,000 US, which is, I know it's shocking. It may seem a lot to have fun with a toy, but again, you know, it just depends on the size of your toys, how much they cost. Being all steel and constructed the way it is with the hydraulic rams and the lines. In fact, this is an older model. I don't know, it depends on when you're watching this. At the time of this filming, I think they have it on sale now for about $1,800 US, because this is their older model. They do have a newer model now that's come out. It's got a nice paint job on it, great places for lights and everything. I don't think I'll be getting it because I have two of these ones, and I'm actually very, very happy with how it performs. Got lots of ideas coming up in the new season, of course, that I want to get this out for, but at the same time, I just wanted to kind of step back and show you guys how something like this works. Now, yes, we may be thinking that is super, super expensive, but again, when you're looking at like a 1/12 or 1/14 scale, all steel construction, you know, the price is, even in full scale, you'd be looking at a huge amount of money. Check out the detail here, even in small scale when you're running it hard. In fact, I even did a few videos with these, and I'll be linking them for you in the video here so you can see where I did some stunt driving with this excavator out on the rock pile. Viewers of the show may know I have a huge rock pile out in my front garden area there, and I thought, what the heck, I might as well try it with this. But lots of neat digging and lots of scale cinematography that I did with this rig right here. This has been with me for so long, and it's definitely one of my favorite RCs. This back area actually flips up. It's not so that you can so much access the mechanics. You can undo the battery right here, but this is actually to help the heat rise out of here from the giant brushless motor on the inside. Look at this thing. It's like a helicopter motor, a very, very strong, torquey motor that's actually set up to a pump right here on the inside. Now, for those of you that never have seen this before, I'll run it down for you. Here is the ESC that is for this giant motor that's right here. The ESC itself is about 160 amps. Moving it out of the way, you can see here that we actually have the hydraulic tank. Now, from the pump,
We actually have a draw line that draws from the tank into the pump and shoots it out through this black hose right here. This is, let me move all this stuff out of the way. This here is the hydraulic block, is what it's called. Now it's a little bit different because this actually runs 1/8 scale motors. Now a lot of the really high end, or not motors, pardon me, servos. I was thinking about the motors and the servos there. A lot of high end hydraulic blocks are actually very small and run micro servos. So I think this is part of how they're able to keep the cost down. Well, if we can say down, compared to some of the other, you know, for example, German models. They're just amazing. There's so many amazing heavy-duty machinery out there. One of my friends, Renee, actually runs the RC Live Action channel, or Monster Channel 24. They run a huge channel as well for all this kind of stuff. They're really masters at hydraulic stuff. You can see here that the pump, the fluid goes through, and depending on the hydraulic ram, right, the function that I need to have on there is the servos actually open and close the valves to help that pumping hydraulic fluid into the rams or into the lines that are requiring it. So as it goes through the lines, everything here comes back, and here is where it actually returns into the tank again. This is a little bit of a bleeder valve here, so if you have too much pressure, you can adjust, like letting the air out or whatever, and here is the pressure block itself. Now you can adjust the pressure or the bar, the PSI bar, by moving this set screw here that's actually in on a spring, and that actually helps control the flow. So if you're actually running this for the very first time, I've had so many people write me because there is no instruction book about this and say my hydraulics aren't working. It's so frustrating. I've been down that road so many times, and I've been running this machine for like a half an hour after I've drained it, cleaned it, and I've tried to run it again. And to get the air out of the lines, you just have to keep at it. Run it some more, run it. Sometimes I've had it so slow where it barely moves, right? Because there's so much air in the line that's being compressed by the fluid, but it's not functioning like fluid would. So this is something I say that just keep going at it, keep the controls, make sure your bleeder valve is open. You don't need this hydraulic tank full. You need it about halfway. Now the problem is that you can hear it's actually pretty light in there. I don't have a lot of fluid in here at all times because it's all in the line. So about 1/3 to halfway is all you need, or else you'll get the fluid just pouring out of here, which makes a huge mess, and it's really dumb. Oh, I do have a battery in there. Nice. Glad it was unplugged. LiPo batteries. Normally I keep them in my rigs like this if I need to, just for storage areas, and I keep them at about 50%, which is a LiPo storage. Now what you're looking at here, this giant block is about a 3S LiPo, coming in at about 7,000 milliamp hours. That's quite a bit, but the run time I get out of this machine is at least an hour. So it depends on the LiPo you're using. You could use a little 2200 3S in here, and you'd get a good 20 minutes of dig time out of it. On the inside here, you can see this motor actually goes into a gearbox, which for this whole top part here, as you can see, it's mounted up on the turret, is what I'll call it today. Just the point that spins the whole cab. This hooks up to a gear, and I've done videos on this before where I replace the drive motors, drive motors right here, and it's such a neat the way it turns, because the connection itself is just a metal ring which allows this to freely turn 360 in all directions without getting the wires tangled up on the inside. Super cool. I really like how you can just turn all day long with this thing and there's no wires getting wrapped because of how they made that system. So there you go. The mechanics of this, basically you understand everything about it now. This drive cog right here, of course it's backward out. If I was driving, I'd always have this forward, unless I was digging. But there are motors just on the inside here. You can see one sticking out through here and another one right here. Don't worry, I'm not missing screws or anything like that. It's just how it's put together. And there's a gearbox in here. Now, I have had the brushless upgrade on the inside. Brushless was awesome, but I found the planetary gears. Number one, the kit was so expensive to upgrade it, and the planetary gears really were too soft. They weren't able to hold up to the power and torque that the brushless motors were putting out. So yeah, it did run super fast. It was much smoother. Maybe I just had a bad set, but I really do prefer the brushed. It's so much slower, but it is more scale looking, or you know, like looking like a full-size machine, and overall I like it. This, look at this, dun, 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 RC Velt, or RC-WELT, is where I got this giant claw from, which is great. Now, a claw like this actually does have some ripping power because it is technically a ripper, but of course in the wintertime, being as cold as it is right now, I'm not getting a lot of ripping time on anything. This is an aftermarket bucket, same place that I got this. It's much wider and has more fill capacity than the original one does. And you'll see I've got a quick connect on here to help switch in between these. And all it is just a little grub screw that you switch up, and actually this unhooks all by itself. Another thing, so many people ask me, can you put a thumb on this machine, right? A gripping thumb against. Man, would I love to do that. I haven't seen it done yet. I think the reason I haven't seen it done yet basically is because of this block. This block is already huge as it is, and all the electronics and speed controllers in there for the brushless, or pardon me, for the brushed motors are in here. Check it out. This is a massive amount I have in here. Look at it, it's like a rat's nest, but there's really no other place to put everything. This is the area they've given you. So of course I'm running a huge controller right here, 8-channel. I switched out the ESC to a Tiken FXR on there. Bleh, I've lost my brain there. Tiken FXR, which is actually running the inside gearbox for the turret. And of course the ESC, each ESC for each motor. You can see why RC 4-wheel drive warns that this is an advanced machine. If you don't have instructions or can't figure it out, it can be a challenge. And here is the power block that's distributing everything all around. So it looks messy, but it's actually a very controlled area. Everything is well done, and once I wrap it in there, there's really no reason for me to take it out unless I'm showing folks on YouTube. Okay, so I'm going to go to the front hydraulic line here where it draws from the tank. Going to take off the hydraulic tube. Now there is a washer on this screw. Make sure not to lose it if you are following along. And I'm going to open the bleeder valve a little bit so I can get some airflow. Going to use my hydraulic fluid bottle there just to add a little bit more, not too much. Yeah, there we go. And just set that hose back in place. These aren't just regular fuel tubes either. These are actually a very strong hydraulic tube that can take some pressure. I'm going to close off the bleeder valve and open it just 1/8 of a turn. So a few minutes later, I have the battery all charged up. I was wrong actually. This is not a 7000. I'm actually using an 8400 3S in this, which gives me a very long run time. Here we go. Make sure I have my radio on before I plug it in because I bypassed the switch. Radio is on. And here we go. Here is the radio system that actually comes with this older machine. This is a FlySky 2.4 gigahertz radio, but check this out. It actually has modded levers put in to where the switches were. So as you push up and down on this, the tracks actually move on either side. So a lot of people have asked me, you know, the way I've set up my controls for the way I lift my arm and the way I lower it is actually backwards. And yes, I do have a full-size cat skid steer that I'm used to using the joysticks, but because I learned how to use it just how it came out of the box back in the day before I had one, it's easy just to switch around in the receiver so you can make it better. But I know all the full-scale operators always watch me use this radio and go, ah, it's backwards, it's driving me crazy. You can see on the inside there, I went and put the little guy in. I actually ordered from overseas a whole inside scale seating area for him. He is just a little bit too small for this machine, but you know, I'm not discriminating when I hire. So this machine really is noisy overall, just like a full size. And I believe the new motor on the new machines aren't as loud, but check this out. This is the hydraulic pump. I mean, this is the hydraulic pump. Pretty loud. That's the motor back here, spinning. Now really, when you actually take that motor out, I believe it's a 450 kV, that low, believe it or not. It's actually very silent as an outrunner motor. It's the pump itself that actually makes the noise. So I don't know if they've upgraded that in the new one. I would assume so, because I hear it is quieter. For those wondering how long it is, just how it sits right now. So from extension of arm to the back is about 3 feet. It's 36 inches long. But if you curl it in, overall the track weight or the track length compared to the back weight area is 17 inches long. Approximately, to see how its footprint is 10 inches wide. Okay, let's turn the pump on and pull back on the lever. There, look at this. I've got air in the system right now. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Just working that air out, making sure that bleeder valve is open on the back. This is exactly why I wanted to test it today. So no reaction in the hydraulics, but this means that I have to make sure the bleeder valve is open as well as I just let it run and I use the servos. Now what I'm doing right now is just making sure that the servos are moving when I move the control stick. Look at the pressure in the liquid there. The turret moves no problem. All servos are working, so I'm going to let the hydraulic pump run. I'm also going to use the control sticks right now to help bleed it out, and I'll update you when I'm done. I'm helping the air through by only applying a small amount of pressure to get the fluid moving. And then I'm going to back off the arm again to let it start pumping. Not forcing anything, just giving a little bit of pressure. There we go, there we go. Aha! Then back out again. Starting to hit, it's getting the air out.
know that was kind of noisy. Sorry guys. The headphone users, I feel bad for you right now, but for the people that really needed help with this machine on how to help those hydraulics bleed the air out, that was necessary to show how I would do that. So you could tell, I don't know if you could hear, but I'll be able to tell in the editing that I was pushing the arm back and forth in the opposite direction that it was trying to go to force that air out through this little bleeder valve. Because I didn't have too much hydraulic fluid in here, I didn't have any spill out over here. So I'm going to close the valve. I'm going to fire it up again, see if I can get it to work. There we go. Hello. Full extension is 34 inches. Two pins on the bottom to release the shovel. Put the ripper on. Looks like a dinosaur. Rah! And of course it has plenty of power to push itself up. So there you go, my friends. That is hopefully helpful to the people out there that own this model, that are struggling with the hydraulics. Now everybody else that's out there that's interested in a machine like this actually sees how it works. As long as you approach it systematically, break it down into mechanics and into hydraulics and into radio signal and the electrical system. Sounds complicated, and it is, but it's actually fairly straightforward and simple. Hopefully this has helped you guys today. Maybe it's inspired you to go out and try some of the heavy duty equipment out there. It doesn't have to be expensive. We've seen tons of Tonka conversions. We've seen lots of Brooder Toys conversions. This is actually just starting to get into the really heavy duty stuff. But my friends, the options with RC is just limitless. So get outside, have some fun with RC, or if it's cold outside like me, get in, stop making excuses, and work on the RCs you have. You know you have to go and start wrenching. Do it now! And we will see you in the next episode of RC Adventures. Thanks for tuning in, my friends. See you next time.